All right, so when we want to graph our inverse functions, it's just as simple. X's and Y's switch, so that means every point is going to interchange its X and Y coordinates. So if a point is 2, 3, now it's 3, 2. That's it. It's super simple. We're just reflecting, really, over the Y equals X line. So your X and your Y points, your coordinates, are just switching. So let's take a look. We want to sketch the graph of the square root of x minus 2. So we're just going to start with graphing that, and then we'll get to the inverse in a minute. So let's sketch that graph. Easiest way is probably a table, or I mean, you could start to think of this as transformation if you want, but it's probably easier to do a table here. So let's see, x's and y's. If we plug in 0, we can't take the square root of that. If we plug in 1, we can't take the square root of that. How about 2? So that would be the square root of 2 minus 2, which is square root of 0, so we get 0. All right, so 2, 0 is a point. And then we would have, let's see, 3 would be a square root of 3 minus 2. Square root of 1 is 1. So 3, 1. And then if we plugged in 4, we'd get root 2, so that's no good. 5 would be root 3, maybe 6 would be, let's see, 6 minus 2, that'd be the square root of 4, which is 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. And we could keep going, but there we have it. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do is use this graph to sketch f inverse of x. We want the inverse function. So every x and y point is going to switch. So this was the point 2, 0. Now we need to plot the point 0, 2. This was the point 3, 1. Now we need to plot the point 1, 3. This was the point 6, 2. So now we need to plot the point 2, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoops, that is the wrong spot. 2. Okay. So yes, mine's not perfectly drawn to scale, but all we're doing is switching your x and y's. Okay, so that's above. So just switch coordinates. Basically, these guys are just flip-flopping. Okay. All right, and then lastly, we want to find the equation. So we have y equals the square root of x minus 2. So what we want to do is switch this and make it say x equals the square root of y minus 2. All right. Now we're going to square both sides to get rid of the square root. So we get, need some space, x squared is equal to y minus 2, and we'll add the 2. So we're going to get that y is equal to x squared plus 2. But wait a minute. If we say that is the function, then we're not just getting the graph looking like this. We're also going to get the other half. But that's not the inverse. I don't want to include this. The first point I'm starting at is when x is equal to 0. So I need to include that restriction. X is greater than or equal to 0. And the reason I need to include that restriction is because in the original function, back at the top, the square root function, this had a range of y is greater than or equal to 0. So now my domain is going to be the same thing, greater than or equal to 0.